Hello, everybody. My name is Ray. Welcome to the Evangelical Dark Web. Today, we will be talking about Karengate. We got some late breaking drama ahead of the annual Southern Baptist Convention of 2022, and that is an update to Karengate. Karengate, I did an entire video on, just succinctly explaining the entire thing. Basically, it revolves around Karen Swallow Prior being at the center of a conspiracy to blackmail Tom and by extension Jennifer Buck into silence or whatever because of their knowledge about Willie Rice and a deacon that he had at his church. This is part of a trilogy of scandals over at the Southern Baptist Convention. It started with Sermongate last summer. There was Sermongate, where Ed Litton was exposed as a serial sermon plagiarizer. So that was the first installment in this trilogy. Ed Litton would then not seek re-election in the upcoming annual Southern Baptist Convention. So he's not seeking re-election because of Sermongate. So we then had our second scandal, which was Deacongate. The Southern Baptist establishment found a replacement candidate for Ed Litton, and that was Willie Rice. Willie Rice gave the annual convention sermon last year, in which he said critical race theory is a real thing, but you know what else is a real thing? Being a jerk is a real thing. He thought that was a really cool line, and a lot of dweebs did as well. Willie Rice evidently had a pastor who was a groomer. He was basically someone that was having sex with a high school student or something like that while also being married and having a profession of faith. That's the key details, that he had a profession of faith at the time. And therefore, Willie Rice lied about his disclosure of that event, and it was apparently Tom Buck who brought that to his attention, and Tom Buck also was kind of maybe going to call out the lie that he said, because Willie Rice did lie. So they were afraid that Willie Rice would get further exposed. So a week after Willie Rice discloses the event, Willie Rice drops out. The next day, Bart Barber is in. So we had a third presidential candidate up. Or the establishment is on try number 3, third time's a charm for 2022. Because first it was Willie Rice, or first it was Ed Litton. He would run for 2 terms. Then it was Willie Rice. Now it's Bart Barber. He was in the hole and now he's at the batter's box. So then we had Karengate, which kind of exposed what was going on with the Deacongate scandal with Willie Rice. If this is a trilogy, this is kind of like, Star Trek 3 going into Star Trek 4. Because that trilogy starts with Star Trek 2, for those of you who aren't nerds. So it's basically Star Trek 2 into Star Trek 3 into Star Trek 4. Very much a direct sequel. So Karengate involved a conspiracy to blackmail Tom Buck into silence, to not come forward with his knowledge about the Deacongate, about Willie Rice's problematic deacon, and they wanted his silence on that. That was Deacongate in a nutshell. So I hope that was a succinct wrap-up. Otherwise, you can just read it at Evangelical Dark Web or watch the video I did on Karengate. Now, moving on, I did write this article, Karengate Update. Anonymous Patsy takes responsibility. The Bucks call BS. That's just a succinct headline as I could make it, because this is a bit of a convoluted issue for the reasons I just explained. But again, I'm trying to get everyone up to speed, whether they are a Southern Baptist insider or just a casual. So, with the annual Southern Baptist Convention less than a week away, the primarily important days will be next Tuesday and next Wednesday. We got some late night, last minute drama, not late night or last minute, but late drama, which will take some of the attention away from the Sex Abuse Task Force, which I have talked about a lot lately. And honestly, there's not that much more to talk about it other than what it doesn't contain. So, Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary did release a statement, and we're going to I want to read their final part first, and this is a statement from the Board of Trustees. And this is from their board chairman, Art Wary. The Board of Trustees of Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary unanimously expressed their support for Doctors Danny Akin, Keith Whitfield, and Karen Swallow Pryor. We stand behind the administration and the internal investigation that found no evidence of involvement from SEBTS personnel in the distribution of the Jennifer Buck essay for the purpose of disparagement and blackmail of Dr. Tom Buck. We denounce the actions undertaken against the Bucks and pray that those involved will come forward and seek forgiveness. In other words, Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary has investigated themselves and found no evidence of wrongdoing. So we're not going to read all of this statement just because it's, kind of long, kind of not everything in it is pertinent. But I did, again, I did have the good excerpts and the highlights in this article because I'm trying to keep this video as brief as possible to explain a very convoluted, complicated matter. Tom Buck didn't like the statement very much. Not sure how Danny Akin found the time to craft this grossly inaccurate statement, because he told me Monday he was too busy to find a law firm to do an independent investigation, which he had agreed to. This statement is a joke. And there is a part in the statement that talks about the independent investigation that they had talked about. And it says, quote, the call was moderated, as were previous discussions, by Rachel Den Hollander. Why they are still trusting Rachel Den Hollander, I have no idea. It seems like she was pretty untrustworthy on this issue prior, and still kind of untrustworthy. Bad move. During that call, Dr. Buck asked if SEBTS would be open to a third-party investigation, waive any attorney-client privilege on the matters at hand. That's just Tom Buck being a savage there. Dr. Akin wholeheartedly agreed to the plan, so did the Bucks. The goal of the call was to specify the scope of the investigation and identify a firm to conduct the investigation. Hopefully not Guidepost Solutions, am I right? Discussions around the scope of the proposed investigation and the firm to conduct the investigation did not reach an agreed-upon conclusion. So they basically said, yeah, we agreed to do it, but the plans fell through. Now we have the Patsy. Enter the Patsy. SEBTS claims that an anonymous couple took responsibility for the blackmail attempt. We did confirm that Dr. Pryor had in 2018 sent the article to one outlet for publication with permission from the Bucks. We did not find any emails or evidence to suggest that it had been sent to any other individual or entity since Dr. Pryor's employment began at SEBTS. So what about before that? But anyway, in July of 2020. In addition, SEBTS received a signed and notarized affidavit from Todd Benkirk saying that he had no information that would implicate anyone from Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary as being part of any effort to disparage or blackmail Dr. Buck, because I'm sure Todd Benkirk's word means that much in this situation. On June 8th, 2022, the same day this statement came out, by the way, they had some new knowledge that helped them expedite this statement. SEBTS was informed that an anonymous couple had reached out to Rachel Den Hollander to take responsibility for the attempted use of Buck's article draft as retaliation for Pastor Buck's raising concerns related to an individual at Willie Rice's church. So, this kind of doesn't make sense because Willie Rice and Tom Buck were dealing with this matter relatively privately prior to it being a public matter. The couple provided corroborating information to validate that they were the original actors and that they acted alone. Always important that they acted alone. They affirmed that the individual they had contacted at Southeastern, Keith Whitfield, informed them that Dr. Pryor would not corroborate the article and that they had both urged them not to publish it. Further, the couple confirmed that no one else was aware of or assisted them in these efforts. They have expressed deep grief at the harm they have caused. This grief was so deep, they have not really established how they got the article in the first place and not have established their own identities. They have remained anonymous to this point, by the way. Based on this information and the efforts of SEBTS has undergone in reviewing and attempting to retrieve any helpful information related to this matter, we believe it is no longer necessary to participate in an independent query. An anonymous Patsy coming forward to take responsibility, leading to a very fast conclusion to an investigation and a subsequent statement. Because again, this happened on the same exact day. It happened at 3 o'clock and they got the statement ready at 6. Like, what? I don't know how this happened. This is the perfect alibi to exonerate Karen Swallow Prior and other SEBTS staff for their involvement in the conspiracy. And when I write perfect, I mean it's like fantastical. Like, they found their Lee Harvey Oswald to take responsibility for pulling the job off. It didn't come from the obvious grassy knoll that is Karen Swallow Prior. It came from the textbook storage facility with this anonymous account. So, very shady, very suspicious details, but that is the story that SEBTS is running with. While some, and this is how they conclude, while some may still have, but what about questions? Yes, this is really what they wrote. We believe the investigation and new evidence is sufficient to bring this matter to a close regarding SEBTS involvement. Any remaining questions should be directed to those directly involved, like the anonymous people who aren't really provided. We don't know who they are still. But yes, that is a George Costanza, I'm out. Like, that's George Costanza just getting up in the middle of a meeting and walking out on a high note. That is what SEBTS is doing here. Danny Aiken, bald just like George Costanza is. He just pulled a George Costanza here. Unconvinced by the narrative that the anonymous Patsies carried out a blackmail conspiracy alone, the Bucks turned to Janet Medford. She got the exclusive on this, not Evangelical Dark Web, unfortunately. SEBTS claims that Karen Swallow Prior sent the rough draft with permission to one news source. So that's part of the claim, that they got permission to do the one news source. Now, it's not specified in the Southeastern what it is, but we do talk more about that in the Bucks response. The Bucks itemize their claims. So response number 1 to the claim about the independent news source. Dr. Prior has confirmed, and the Bucks have acknowledged, that she sent a copy of Jennifer's rough draft to Christianity Today editor Andrea Palpant Dilley. However, in a statement included in Dr. Aiken's April 19 letter to FBC Lindale elders, Dr. Prior states without equivocation, I shared the essay with prospective publications. In the May 6th Zoom call, she had stated that she had only sent the draft to one person, Miss Palpant Dilley. But when pressed on a Zoom call about the disparity between the two claims, so multiple publications versus one, we have a story changing here. She doesn't know for sure if she sent the draft to any other publications. She doesn't know for sure. I guess emails get cleaned up. When Dr. Aiken more specifically asked her whether or not she had sent the rough draft to anyone within the last year, she said, not that I recall. So that would be during her tenure at SEBTS. Furthermore, the Bucks never gave Dr. Prior permission to send anyone the unedited version of the rough draft. So she never had permission to send it to anyone, according to the Bucks, until Dr. Prior released their original email exchange to Jennifer. Jennifer did not recall that she had given Dr. Prior permission to forward the rough draft to any publication. That misunderstanding was later cleared up, but Tama conveyed in writing to Dr. Prior back in 2018 that the rough draft she sent to the publication first had to be edited. Even with that directive, Dr. Pryor forwarded the unedited rough draft to Miss Palpant Dilly. SCBTS states that it hasn't uncovered any emails or evidence to suggest that Dr. Pryor sent the rough draft to anyone since July 2020, but that date is irrelevant. Dr. Pryor stated on the Zoom call that even if she has heard that the rough draft has been circulating for years, so the leaker had to have released the draft prior to July 2020. Also, SBC Voices Todd Benkirk's affidavit claim that says he has no information implicating any SCBTS employee as being part of any effort to disparage or blackmail Dr. Buck is irrelevant due to the fact that the Bucks have never accused any person at SCBTS of trying to disparage or blackmail them. SCBTS has also not released any affidavit from Dr. Pryor. There are several additional previously undisclosed reasons why a thorough investigation of the Bucks scandal must take place. Miss Palpant Dilly stated in a June 6 email that Jennifer that she never sent the rough draft to anyone after receiving it from Dr. Pryor. In response to Dr. Pryor's queries, Miss Palpant Dilly confirmed that she never shared or sent the rough draft to anyone inside or outside of Christianity Today, or Compromise Today as we like to call it here at the Evangelical Dark Web. She also confirmed that no one contacted her between March 26 and April 11 to verify or authenticate the rough draft. If true, this means that Ms. Palpant Dilly can be ruled out as the leaker. The only person remaining who possessed the rough draft, with Jennifer's permission, is the person who admittedly furnished it to Christianity Today, Dr. Pryor. In addition, Baptist News Global writer David Baumgartner, who wrote a much maligned April 11 article about the Bucks, in which he alluded to the rough draft, recently revealed to Tom the name of an SCBTS graduate, SCBTS, whom he claims not only had a copy of the rough draft, but also served as one of the major sources on the controversial story. So we have someone at SCBTS, a graduate, who is one of the major sources for David Baumgartner, who may have had a change of heart on this issue. I don't know, but I'm open to hearing that because he did a live stream with Dr. Bobby Lopez, a friend of the channel. On the Zoom calls, the testimonies of the Provost Whitfield and Dr. Pryor regarding the Bucks scandal also conflicted in several areas. For example, when asked in the May 6 Zoom call why she didn't contact Jennifer to inform her that someone was seeking to publish her rough draft, Dr. Pryor said it was because she was scared of Tom and considered him a bully. Really? But in the May 11 Zoom call, Whitfield said that Dr. Pryor gave a different reason to him, saying that she was under no obligation to contact Jennifer about the leaked rough draft. Okay. Multiple publications quickly turned into only Christianity Today. And this is my summary of this, but David Baumgartner's bullet point shows that there was more SEBTS involvement than Danny Aiken cares to admit. In response to the Patsy claim, so we had the claim about Karen Swallow Pryor not being the leaker, and now we have the claim about the Patsy. Tom Buck and Jennifer have read the anonymous couple's emails, as have I, Janet Medford, I assume, because she's compiled this statement for the Bucks. First of all, it simply beggars the belief that Dr. Aiken is now coupling his insufficient investigatory efforts with the unsubstantiated claims of an unidentified person sent via an anonymous email address through a contact page on Ms. Denhollander's website to justify canceling an independent investigation into the scandal. The sender's identity is a mystery, and none of the claims in the email can possibly be substantiated or corroborated to validate anything. Instead of an anonymous couple's unverified claims serving as grounds for canceling an independent inquiry, they should instead serve as further rationale for proceeding with it. I absolutely wholeheartedly agree with that. Now, we do have some reaction. We got a lot of simps for Danny Aiken here, saying how much of a man of integrity he is. We got Jackie C. King, lady, so this is why this is important. The patience of grace and character of KSP, Whitfield, and Danny Aiken has been above reproach. I know it's been heavy, but thankful for y'all ensuring you on heart. And then we got Beth Moore saying, "Goodness, what an ordeal for a woman of such proven character. So thankful for this to be made publicly clear." The conservatives aren't nearly as convinced. I am not convinced. This will give conservatives something to rally at the upcoming convention, but overall, could have been a tactical error. I think the main reason for doing this, I think the main reason that they released this report was to exonerate Karen Swallow Prior. They want to protect Karen Swallow Prior. Why? Because she has something on somebody or something. I don't know. What is so critical about her that's worth this level of chicanery to protect? Like, really? We're going to do anonymous emails sent through Rachel Denhollander's website? Really? We're really going to end an investigation because we got these anonymous sources here? Like, this is crap. No intelligent person buys this. You have to be retarded to think this is a viable story, or you're just hacktastic. Thank you, Beth Moore, for being such a hack. It's stupid. Anyway, that's really all I got to say about that. If you like this kind of content, subscribe to the channel. That's the least you can do. And like the video as well to help to boost those magical YouTube algorithms. Otherwise, you can support this kind of content over at evangelicaldarkweb.org for as little as $5 a month to support and keep the lights on at Evangelical Dark Web. Have a blessed day. Let me know what you think about what I think, and I will catch you on the next one.